Mike Greenberg, how are you this afternoon, sir?
What's up, Greenie?
Long time no talk, boys. How have you been?
Very good. We just we have this segment we do. It's called Socially Awkward Media, where we bring back the best tweets from the week, and everyone was mocking Lamar Jackson. Gaz just said, shouldn't Jets fans want him as their quarterback next year?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that. Look, he's a sensational college player. I don't think most, and I would defer obviously to the Mel Kipers and Todd McShays of the world, but I don't think, at least at this point, that he projects to being a big-time NFL quarterback. I'd love for him to prove me wrong, and it certainly was fun to watch him play last year. I'm hoping the Jets will address their quarterback situation sooner than that. In fact, I guess I haven't totally given up hope that has already been addressed, and that Christian Hackenberg, despite all evidence to the contrary, will actually turn out to be an NFL quarterback, because the Jets used a second-round pick on him last year, and they seemed afraid to let him even in the stadium, much less on the field. So I hope that will change. I guess if you ask me what's my dream scenario for quarterback for the Jets, it would be that. But I don't have a real good feeling about it's being a real possibility.
And Mike Greenberg with us, of course. Mike and Mike in the morning right here on 104.5 The Team. Greenie, where does Josh McCown factor into that dream?
He should just have. He shouldn't have a number on his uniform. They should actually just put a bridge on it, right? He should just have a bridge. He is the bridge. He is the bridge quarterback for the New York Jets for sure. The problem is, and I think he's a very good bridge quarterback. He's a terrific choice. He has shown himself to be a willing mentor during his career, and he's a pro's pro. The problem is, what is he the bridge to? Who is he the bridge to? I don't think they know the answer to that question yet. So. Is it going to be Christian Hackenberg? Is it going to be Bryce Petty, which I think they've already decided it isn't? Is it going to ultimately be Deshaun Watson or Mitch Trubisky or one of the guys in this year's draft class? That's the big question. So that's what he is. That's the easy answer. The easy answer is Josh McCown is the bridge. The really good question is the bridge to what? And at this point, I don't know what the answer is.
It's a very interesting question. We know the New York Jets are staying put in New York, at least for a while. Some Jets fans are frustrated by that, but we know the Oakland Raiders are on the move. What do you make of Oakland heading soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders?
I hate it. I mean, I absolutely hate seeing teams leave, and that's not in any way a referendum on Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas, and I think it will be an enormous success. I think they will do great there. But there's just something. Look, I hate any time any team leaves. I am a representative of the fans. That's all I've ever been as a fan, and that's all that matters to me is how anything affects the fans. So it breaks my heart to see the Rams leave St. Louis for the fans there and the Chargers leave San Diego for the fans there. But there's something about the Raiders leaving Oakland, even though I know they did it once upon a time and went to L.A. for 15 years. I mean, there's something about the Raiders leaving Oakland that just feels wrong. And I don't know what the price ultimately to be paid for the National Football League is going to be for all this movement, but I think there will be a price to be paid. At the end of the day, you can't just be moving franchises around at the rate that they are without there being something to be paid on the other side.
Mike Greenberg with us right now, 104.5 The Team. Greenie, we had the conversation, and we've seen some of the air quote experts say it. Is this something that should scare Buffalo Bills fans? And if they don't come up with a plan for a new stadium, they could still end up losing the Bills after all that drama a year or so ago?
I hope not. I mean, for exactly the same reason. Look, the National Football League was built on Buffalo and Green Bay and Baltimore. The National Football League is not about New York, L.A., Chicago, glamour markets, South Beach. It's about fans. It's about real people who go to football games and sit out there in Buffalo in particular, where it's -8 and the team hasn't been to the playoffs in whatever it's been 15 years, and yet they're out there supporting their team. That's what the National Football League actually is. And if the National Football League should ever turn its back on that and on those people, then it will deserve what it gets. It is. I'm old enough to remember a time when if you had said the NFL is going to displace Major League Baseball as this country's most popular sport, people would have thought you were crazy. And so now, the notion that anything could displace football as this country's most popular sport sounds crazy, but it isn't impossible. And the best way to get there, if you're the NFL, is to alienate the people who made you what you are in the first place. And if they move the Bills out of Buffalo, that's exactly what they would be doing.
We'll move over to college basketball now, and at ESPN Greeny is where to follow Mike Greenberg, which you can catch 6 to 10 here on 104.5 The Team. And you posted a picture today that's an excellent illustration of why this sport, college basketball, should never be played in a football stadium. Greeny, explain why you and I agree with this. Get this nonsense out of here with these Final Four venues.
You know what the funny thing about that is? Did you see whose picture I was posting? It was their picture.
March Madness, yes.
The NCAA chose to show you. The court, you know what it's like when you're in an airplane and you're just starting to, when you just get to a point where you can just start to see the buildings beneath you?
Mm-hmm.
That's how high up this photo is taken from. I went to the Final Four last year in Houston. It was the worst big event atmosphere of any sporting event I've ever attended in my entire life. Basketball is not meant to be played in a stadium that holds 70,000 people. It's awful. That was one of many problems that I had with all of that, which is why I'm thrilled to be working with the people at Dove Men Plus Care today talking about fans, because my entire quest, and whatever time I have left, with microphones in front of me, is to stand up for fans. It's the one thing that I believe in. It's the most downtrodden collection of consumers in our society.
Now, I want to talk about your partnership, but before that, I wanted to give you a chance to gloat because your Northwestern team makes it, and we haven't had a chance to have you on the air since then, but they made it.
It was the thrill of my life, guys. It really was. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't know what to give you as a comparison. Well, I guess the comparison I would give you is my wife is a born and raised Chicagoan, and I lived in Chicago for 11 years, and so I know a lot of people who have been fans of the Chicago Cubs all of their lives, and to finally see them win the World Series, what that meant to them and what it meant to them generationally and all that kind of stuff. That's what this was for me. I got to Northwestern in the fall of 1985. I have loved Northwestern sports and basketball in particular. I went to every basketball game when I was a student there, and I've loved that team for 32 years. And there hasn't been any reason to talk about it on the air because I'd have to be insane to talk about it on the air. No one around the country could have possibly cared. Why would they? So for this team to have done what they did, to have finally broken down that barrier, and to have played as well as they did, and as I thought with great integrity and pride, and then to get into the tournament and to play great in that game against Vanderbilt and win a thriller, and then to come from 20 points down against the 1 seed in Gonzaga and almost win that game, it was a thrill, and I am so proud and so excited. It was as good an experience as I've ever had as a sports fan.
And you're definitely a diehard fan for Northwestern, and it's Anthony Davis, Jim Calhoun, Paul Pierce. All of you guys are teaming up with Dove Men Plus Care to talk about the fans of March Madness.
Well, it's exactly that, right? So I'm at these games, and I'm there. It's the Northwestern fans and the Vanderbilt fans, the Northwestern fans, the Gonzaga fans, and I'm rooting for my side, and they're rooting for their side. But it wasn't ugly. It wasn't. We weren't yelling vulgar epithets at each other, or there were no fights breaking out, and that's what it should be. We're there to be fans, and that's why when Dove Men Plus Care called me and they said, we have this program, it's called the Real Strength Manifesto. You just mentioned it. A bunch of Hall of Famers and other announcers and great players are involved in this, because the experience of being a fan has at times turned into one that is just horrible. You go to these games, and there are people there who are so outrageously unruly and vulgar, and it is almost as though their only purpose is to try and ruin the experience for other people. So there's this thing called the Real Strength Manifesto, and I'd love everyone to get involved and sign it. You can find it at dovemencare.com/NCAA, and you sign on to this thing, and you're agreeing that you're going to do the simplest things, like allow our passion to pull us together instead of pulling us apart. I don't know when it was that we decided that the second we walk into an arena to watch a sporting event, we leave our humanity at the door. I mean, we are still supposed to be part of a society. So I had such a good experience there. I brought my kids to the games. When they were over, we were cheering. We walked out. We were high-fiving the Vanderbilt fans. It was a great game. They were disappointed, but it wasn't the end of their lives. And when we lost against Gonzaga, it was the same thing. And that's what being a fan should be. This is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a shared, joyous experience. And even when your team loses and it's disappointing, it doesn't mean that it was something horrible. That's the beauty of all of this stuff. And so that's what the entire campaign for Dove Men Plus Care is about. And I am thrilled to be talking about it with any fan willing to listen, because I really believe that we are ruining this experience for generations of young kids who are going to not want to go to these games because they're being made to feel uncomfortable and unsafe in these sporting arenas. And to me, that's a tragedy.
I love this movement, Greeny. I mean, you know, I'm afraid to take my daughter to Yankees Red Sox games, so I'm with you, and I hope this gets a lot of traction.
Get on board, man. I mean, it's as simple as that. Have anyone listening go to dovemencare.com/NCAA and sign the manifesto. And then when you're in the arena and you see people behaving that way, point it out to them and say, look, man, I'm here to have a good time, just like you. So you watch the game and I'll watch the game. And let's not forget that we're all still human beings, despite the fact that we're rooting for somewhat passionately. And that's all good, that we're passionately rooting for our team to win. There's no reason for some of this nonsense.
Mike and Mike tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock right here on 104.5 The Team. Greeny, thank you for making time for us, and thank you for pushing a big agenda for the world of sports.
Hey, guys, you're the best. I'll talk to you soon.